Ah, something like that. See, look, it's a bad thing about the long hair. I think the angle still kind of sucks, but maybe if I'm leaned back all the way over here, I don't know. Maybe it might mess with the audio, but I'll talk a little bit louder regardless. Um, so the movie for October 7th was Blade 2. I'm just gonna go ahead and watch all of them, but lots of surprises in this one for me, quite honestly. I mean, you hear things, but never really heard much about Blade 2, especially considering how much, I guess, like talent is there. First of all, you got Guillermo directing, um, which I never even knew, so that was a surprise. First of all, and I mean, it kind of has his look, especially since a few years down the road he goes on to direct Hellboy, and then again with the Hellboy connection, you got Ron Perlman in this movie as one of the side antagonists, and of course he's Hellboy and Guillermo's Hellboy. So that's like a link. But then just like the amount of people that are in this. Another surprise too was Donnie Yen. Had no clue Donnie Yen was in this. He's sort of wasted though. He doesn't really do a lot. He just kind of stands at the back. Unfortunately, it would have been really cool to get some action with him. I mean, considering because that's one of the like pluses for me. I think the action is a lot better than the first one. The gun combat stuff more or less the same, but I'm speaking more on like the hand to hand stuff. It's a lot faster. First of all, and I didn't look up any like choreography stuff, but I mean maybe just like having like Donnie Yen attached, he probably just had some input on how the choreography went because it does look a lot smoother and it looks a lot faster, definitely, compared to the first. Um, so that was cool, and that was like one of the highlight. And there's like a lot more of these just like raw, like kind of hand to hand sequences, or even just like Blade sword fighting with a few people, which is really nice. Like the only kind of sword fight you get in the first one is at the very end, um, you know. And then in this one, there's like a handful of them, and all of them are really really cool. Especially the one he has with the vampire. I guess the two vampires, the one that like infiltrate his place in the beginning. Oh yeah, and then I guess going back actually real quick, just want to shout out Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus is in this. Didn't even know. But then there's another link too because you have Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro, and both of them are in what is it? Death Stranding, right? With Hideo. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, just like lots of little things like that that I just didn't even know. So watching it, it was a pleasant surprise. Um, yeah, so the action very good, an improvement, step up from the last one. So I appreciate that. And another thing too, there's more like kind of CG elements with the action. In the first one, there's CG and stuff, but um, kind of few and far between. Like I think I mentioned that there's like a CG shot of like Blade jumping out a window or somebody falling from a window. It's CG. In this one, there's more CG with like movement. I guess you could say like Blade's like flipping around and stuff like that, and it looks decent for the time. Honestly, it just reminds me of like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Whenever like obviously most of it in Sam Raimi they try to keep it practical, and there's probably a few things here, just like simple flips that are practical, but there's a lot of like bits of like Blade getting thrown around or like Blade doing like, a really exaggerated movement, and that stuff is CG, but it looks about the same as it does in Spider-Man 1 and sort of Spider-Man 2 as well. And I mean, they did come out around the same time. What, this came out 2004, I believe? 2002, somewhere around there. Um, so early 2000s CG, but I mean, me personally, it still holds up. Part nostalgia again because of the Spider-Man stuff, but I mean, even then, like, there's like a level to it where they try to make it look realistic enough, and I feel like if you're thinking about it too much, you're gonna pick up on it, and even if you're just like casually watching, you'll be like, oh, that was like a bit of CG, huh? Oh well, you sort of move on really fast from it, but I guess it's just like a testament to like how good it looks, or good enough it looks. Um, Yeah, so all of that I really liked. I feel like this one has a bit more like story going on. There's definitely like a bigger plot that's like transpiring, which is really cool. I mean, in the first one, I feel like it was pretty simple, like villain trying to make like make a weapon so you could turn everybody to vampires. But with this one, it's almost more of a personal story. you know, like with the villain, but then also like Blade having like more personal moments like with this cast, which is really cool to see because I mean Blade is, you know, not that he is, but he detaches himself a little bit because he's so focused on his mission. But you know, they say it a few times where it's like, you know, like, well, like you're both, you know, you're human and a vampire, and that vampire side of you, like it wants to be detached, you know, because you got stuff to do, but that human side makes you like empathetic, you know. So it's like, okay, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses to both, and you know, Blade has all of them. You know, since he's like stuck in between the two worlds. So I thought that was cool, and they have a few lines that are about that. Um, Obviously, blood effects and stuff like that still pretty strong. You know, you still got the vampires running around, so that's cool. But then you have these newer vampire like evolution types. What are they called? Reapers. Uh, Visually, they look really interesting, and you know that's just like a Guillermo thing, though. I feel like Guillermo has a good eye for how things should look, and you know, just like the overall kind of like minor world building stuff, but just like how the world looks as well. Like in addition to his characters. Um, this one was also kind of cool too because like Blade has more gadgets and shit, so that's kind of fun to see. I feel like most of the stuff I'm gonna say about this one is just positives. I just enjoyed it a lot, a lot. Uh, you know, and I mean again, kind of like what I said about the first one, not necessarily like a horror movie, definitely more of an action movie. This one, um, but still, you know, just like kind of a fun Halloween movie or you know movie to watch in October. Again, vampires are just like a like fantasy horror type characters, so it fits in the it fits within the theme. Um, yeah, no, but just straight up like really enjoyed this. Again, like I don't really know what the perception is with this one specifically because I feel like people talk about the first one and how cool it is, and this one has a lot of elements of the first one, but I feel like it does a lot more. So I think I prefer this one to the first one. But you know, again, like you hear people talk about the first one and the third one. The first one because of how like solid it is, and the third one because of like how bad it is. Nobody really talks about the second one, or at least I don't hear anybody talking about the second one. So, um, you know, again, just like watched it and was surprised. Another thing too I like as well is just like you know Blade's character as a whole. They don't mind making him like a little bit goofy, just a little bit, because like obviously Blade is cool, but you know, like there's like small things he does, like you know, like he'll like do a quip every now and again, or he'll like kind of like flash a smile at somebody, uh, or you know, like again, like in that first action sequence, it's kind of funny. You know, the two guys like ride off with the motorcycles, and he gets one guy off and like takes the motorcycle, and Blade is like about to like hit his car before he like does the turnaround, U-turn, and he like stops in front of his like car and like blows a kiss to it. Just small stuff like that, you know, just like kind of goofy. Um, what else? Oh yeah, and then going back to that first action sequence. This is just like a small thing, just something funny I noticed. But the first vampire jumps on the bike, and you know, I'm assuming he's like a stunt performer because he jumps on the bike, no helmet, and he just starts riding. But the second vampire that jumps on a bike, I'm assuming isn't a stunt performer, so they have him put a helmet on, and then you can kind of like see if you're noticing his like body like changes just a little bit. I think he like shrinks down because the vampire's like kind of bulky, but he shrinks down a bit whenever he has the helmet on because it's a stunt performer. I'm assuming, unless they just wanted to put him in a helmet. But I mean that's like a movie thing. Typically, if you know, like, there's usually a reason why they don't show faces for certain bits because I mean technically like cycling is a stunt, so you know you don't want to put your like actors at risk. But that being said, I'm pretty sure Blade was or you know Wesley Snipes was actually just riding because I mean no helmet for him obviously. Uh, but yeah, overall just like solid. I mean if you want to have some fun, just like go ahead and watch this. Obvious recommendation from me. Um, I I feel like watching smaller movies like this, you know, more fun movies, is kind of good just because you know it's a nice change of pace from just being negative a lot. Um, and you know it's kind of fun just to like speak positively or you know like speak on smaller things that kind of happens in movies that like make them enjoyable. um, but yeah, uh, definitely recommend. Kind of excited now for Blade 3. Maybe it'll surprise me. I don't think it will. uh, I mean It might. Again, like Patton Oswalt's in it, so it might be funny to see Patton running around. Uh, but nah, that's about it. Don't know what I'm gonna watch for the 8th. That's kind of up in the air right now, but it might be Blade 3, so we might just get Blade 2 and 3 back to back. But whatever happens, happens. That's it for now. Take care.